Last segment, man. We're gonna talk about what's it, Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders.
Okay.
So do y'all think Deion messed his son up? Because why did he drop like to the 5th round, man? I heard all kind of speculation. So before we jump into the clips, I wanna.
Is this the same one that the guy pulled a trick on him, or that's the other brother?
I think it's Sanders.
Say again?
I think it's Shedeur that they did that too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I think what was coming out of this, right? It was like they didn't want the father to be involved, and I'm like, yo, you can't do that and call nepotism and whatever. But when you had the Peyton brothers that got in, and their father was a coach too, and you're seeing more and more like how important it is for fathers to join sports organization, because you look at Shaquille O'Neal coming up here to Sacramento State School for his son in the basketball program and leading that, but not getting paid for it, allegedly. But you see that more and more. So I don't know what's really matters is like, yo, he's going to show up anyway and show off and show up and do well, because already that jersey sold a lot of money and is going to put that team on the map. So it doesn't matter. He got 5th round. He's going to prove to everybody that they're wrong.
What's your take, Wally?
Well, I know Archie Manning was building up his kids in the game, but I know he didn't coach them. Like, I guess he coached them as, being a father from that point, but not coach him as far as specifically in sports of college. But other than that, I mean, look, I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things and a lot of comparisons and everything else. Look, I always say it like this, just like from a journalist perspective, just looking at it straight down the middle, do I believe that they screwed him? It's a half and half. I'd say like this, because you got to think about this. There's 32 teams, right? How much teams were linked to Shedeur? Now you separate that and leave the rest alone, because the rest was not even paying attention to. So out of the teams that were interested in Shedeur, those are the teams that failed. And when you look at it, the teams that were linked was Cleveland Browns, who actually drafted him, but they drafted him way late. The Raiders, the Giants, the Saints, Steelers, Jets, and Colts. So when you think to yourself where all those teams were in the draft overall, and knowing that they could have drafted Shedeur, there you go. But as far as everybody else in the league that could have picked, like anyone else of the rest of the teams, they had no parts in this. You got to focus on those teams alone and why they choose to pull away. Because, again, they showed interest. So that means that they were interested in him. So what is the cause and effect that made them pull away? What did he did by himself? Not his father, not his brother, no one else. What did he did by himself that said, nope, we're not going to pick you? And I think that's the thing that most people are not like touching on, because when you look from that point, I know a lot of people like to sit and say, oh, it's racism about him not selecting him, like, because they said that they touted him to being like one of the first 3 picks. I'm going to just sit here and say, okay, we want to go up to that point. Who was the first pick? That was Tennessee Titans. They were not interested in Shedeur. Who was the second pick? Hold on, let me make sure, because the second one, I don't think so. That was even a team that he was even touted to even go to either. The Jacksonville Jaguars. The Giants were the 3rd pick, and they choose the edge rusher dude.
Yeah.
So again, Giants were the one that didn't pick him, even though they could have. Because let's be honest, you're really gonna sit here and say Giants are gonna build their team with Russell Wilson that's on the decline. Looking at what last year he did, and then also the backup, which was I think forgot. He used to play for the Browns. He now switched over there. He signed. I forgot his name already. But so you're trying to tell me you wasn't trying to draft a future quarterback? So again, that's what I'm saying. From that standpoint, looking at the teams that were interested and knew that was interested, you have to draw back into now saying, okay, you're interested in Shedeur. Shedeur did something, and now y'all pulled, and the effect is you pulled away. What is it? Let it be known loud and clear. Because again, we all know the organization, the owners are dumb. They don't know football for a lick of piss. They just don't. They don't. They're just the handlers. That's all they are. They don't know football for a lick of piss. But if you ask the coaches if they would want him, now you have to question that into play as well. So that's my thing. Is like I don't just look at it from the flat line because again, owners are dumb and stupid. They're in their ego just as much as any of these players. But at the same time, it's like again, and I'll even go from this point. If you told me today, look at all the quarterbacks drafted. The only quarterbacks I only know the name of was Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. All the other ones, I'm like, who you, and who the frick is you? So when you look at that, you be like, okay, a bunch of these no-name quarterbacks, you don't know nothing. So that means you had no sauce, you had no representation. No one didn't talk about you like that. You ain't nobody. Bye. So you go back to the same two. And then in most cases, when people analyze these two guys, you say that they're almost neck and neck, but you put Cam a little bit ahead of Shedeur. So that means if Shedeur was given the O-line, given greater or solid receivers and everything else, he'll be top tier. So what is it then? So from there, that's why I say on one hand, if I'm just looking at it from unbiased position, I'll say no, because here's the important thing. Just because someone has put out based upon what they've seen, based upon stats and everything else, just because you said that this person's supposed to be touted as a top 3 draft pick doesn't mean they have to pick him. That does not serve me that, oh, I have to pick him. And we all know owners don't know football for like a crap. So, hello. But if we're looking at it from the side of just football and looking at it as far as fans, yeah, they screwed him. As far as the teams that were interested, they screwed him. Yeah.
I don't, you know, the whole word screwed, man.
Well, again, that's not like.
No, I'm saying because that's what I'm not even attacking you. I'm just saying that's what people been saying, and I'm like, man, nobody owes you shit. You know, because Cam and I know the Giants because you know I was watching the Giants. Man, you know, because I saw some people talk about races. I'm like, man, was it the main quarterback that got selected one? Yeah. So yeah, I'm just like, man,
we're all black. The first,
and I think everybody's stretching. Because I heard he didn't want to interview with a lot of teams.
See, and those were some rumors. I just didn't check those biases yet, but yeah, those were some rumors.
Yeah, because they were saying he wanted to go to like I think Philadelphia.
Yeah, he didn't do a lot of certain things. So
yeah, because I think he wanted to go specific. Yeah, I think he wanted to go specifically to like Pittsburgh, and he wasn't interviewing with teams. And then, because I see what Stan was saying as far as parents coming in there, but I think NFL, man, it's like no nonsense. I think they just don't want that diva shit. You know, unless you're like a legend. Well, I'm saying unless you're like a super. It's like a clear difference. Like if you're that top pick, where it's just like, hey, you're like elite over everybody else. They're not going to tolerate it.
So I'll say this, right? Because when people talk about, oh, well, he was being too cocky. We saw Johnny Manziel, cocky motherfucker, failed. We saw it even Baker Mayfield. Cleveland was stupid enough to trade him, and they're suffering for that. So, but Baker was actually good. All I'm saying is, you being cocky don't mean nothing. Hey, Travis Hunter said himself, when I get drafted to the league, I want to play wide receiver and cornerback. And if I can't do both, I ain't playing. That's cocky as hell. Because who's to say that you're going to have a great career doing that? That's a flight risk. But hey, he was cocky about it, right? They drafted that number 2. And they told him, yeah, you can definitely play both sides. So I'm not doing cocky. Like, let's not do that. No.
Nah, I think it does matter because I think it's a difference. Because like for the Travis Hunter, it's just like, okay, he's you know, it's kind of almost like I'm ambitious. I want to do both. But like a cocky quarterback, they're kind of divas, man. And I think I mean, look, like just because the players that you hold on, the players that you mentioned, like Baker Mayfield, and I think teams kind of see how that played out. Even the one that was in Houston that they traded him for all them picks.
Yeah. So I'll say
Deshaun Watson. And so it's just like, man, if you get them ones, they're gonna want to trade. They're gonna want this stuff. And it's like, man, you might kill your locker room if it's too much attention in there. So now people might not even want to come to your program and stuff. So I think they're looking at it like, man,
no,
you know, we could get that bad attention, and it's just gonna draw away people, and they're gonna want this trade, and they're gonna be like fuck that. Unless you're like Patrick Mahomes, you can have that if you're not above like that. We
but even Pat
ain't taking that
Mahomes ain't
risk.
doing that when he got drafted. But my thing is, okay, so even looking from the point of just like saying Diva is, drama and all that, let's be real. Sanders is still gonna be in college. He's not in the league, none of that extra stuff. He's here in the pro leagues while Deion Sanders is in college. I think the only real drama stuff that would really be is if the media overdo it and overhype it. I mean, at the end of the day, for where he landed with Cleveland Browns, I mean, honestly, that's actually a better market that he landed there anyways, because knowing you landing in the New York market, that would have been tyranny already for his stuff anyways. It would just be a nasty, nasty situation, in my personal belief. But even then, it's like, I'm not even mad if he's out there being cocky, because again, you're the leader anyways. You have no choice but to show up and stand out. But the thing is, that's going to be the thing. He's going to have to get in there, show up, and show out. Because at the end of the day, with Cleveland, there is no excuse. You got Deshaun Watson, done, finished. Joe Flacco, the only reason he starts is because he's just playing in your position until they're ready to let you put out there. Ergo, meaning they're trying to fix that whole line. Let's just keep that real. 3, they dropped that basic quarterback ahead of you that might be there right behind you too, that they're going to keep. And then after that, what else? There's another person. So other than that, I just see it like this. Deshaun Watson's going to need to be sold or wavered off. Joe Flacco's going to be kept. Shedeur's going to be kept. And that other guy that they draft is going to be kept. That's how they're going to have the room. Those 3 guys. At least that's what it should be. Because Deshaun Watson ain't survived. Like, Shedeur should literally win this job, or at least win to the point they're like, okay, Deshaun, thank you for your services. We're going to be departing. Rush.
Yeah, no, I agree. He going to have an opportunity. What was you about to say, Stan?
Now, last time we talked about sports, I did talk about morality clause in a 360 contract, and that these owners want their money, and they tired of these reality stars not really stepping up to the plate. I think this is a step towards that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, man. I think they're looking at it, man. Oh, go ahead, Stan. Sorry.
No, go for it. No, go for it.
Oh, okay. Nah, yeah. I think when you're paying like certain positions, man, because they going up in salary. I mean, shit.
Oh yeah.
And if they ain't happy, man, they start getting pissy. So they're looking at it. I think football, man, because I was telling somebody, I think it's a resource sport. So it's not like NBA. You get 1 or 2 superstars, man. You're in the playoffs. Man, I think people are just looking at it like, if you're not like a Patrick Mahomes type of magnitude, Jalen Hurts, it's like, man, we better off focusing on like defense and the offensive line, because I think that's how they're building. So I think with Sanders, I think they didn't see him as that high. And then, when he's kind of like, hey, man, I want to go to this program. And even his dad, even though his dad like trained him up good, it's just like, man, you can't have no nonsense in the locker room, man. It's just like, this is a whole different league. Like, man, this ain't college no more. Like, man, people get traded out quick. Because, I mean, look how many quarterbacks. I know Jets. Zach Wilson came in there. He's already out. So, they ain't no nonsense. If you ain't performing and you bringing drama, man, you up out of there.
Yeah, but
they don't discriminate on that.
He actually humbled himself. The only thing is he just ended up being traded, though.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, they don't give you a long time to shine. They like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, no, because let's be real. By the time Aaron Rodgers came, they already set him down, and then I think they had someone else in the backup of that lineup, and it's like, all right, go trade to Denver Broncos, and then he sit there. I guess he learned a little bit from there, even being in the back, and then now he's on Miami with the Dolphins right now that they required him. So
yeah, fifth round. I am still shocked.
Stands for?
Not for long, right?
So then,
not for long. NFL stands for not.
Oh yeah. No, look, yeah, you become useless. Yeah, you
for long.
But hey, let me play some of these clips, because these are the ones that you put up there, Stan. So let me see what they got to say about it.
Screwed this up. And they only have themselves to blame here. And I'm not talking about 20 years of Deion being outspoken. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this pre-draft process. They called their shot early. that Deion was going to be like Archie Manning and they were going to try to get Shedeur where he wanted to go, like Eli.
I totally agree with you, but you think that what about all the other stuff?
Well, what's the other stuff?
The fact that Deion is a successful college football coach who said, I want to coach my son in the NFL. Again, I kept saying, you don't think Kellen Moore heard that quote? Like, you're going to draft a guy whose dad wants to take your job and is super famous? How about the fact that Deion is incredibly opinionated? He went to Colorado and cut his entire team on the spot. He does not hold back. If Shedeur is not playing and the starter is struggling even a little bit, he is way too involved in this. And if you're a team, it's that I totally agree with you, but it's not just that. It's everything, Deion. It's a huge pain in the butt.
They screwed this up. And
Okay.
Let me make a counter to that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the same thing. The Ball family. Everyone said the same thing. Notice one thing: the father, and just watched. Like no one's really getting involved, and like the best thing he could do is just talk on social media and say what he want to say. Other than that, what more involved are you going to get?
I mean, he talked a lot of shit. Like it got him far enough, but I do think, man, dad's got to let these dudes go and get it themselves, man. And I think sometimes, like, it's like, man, you did a hell of a job training your son, but it's like, man, you in this league now. You made it. Let me step the fuck back and let you do your thing, you know. And I think sometimes when you get that, huh?
Go finish.
No, I was just gonna say, and I think, man, when you come, man, because like Stan said, it's like, man, not for long, and man, they show that they ain't got patience for people. So it's like if you're coming in there and then like people they got the right to look at it like that, like, hey, man, if he come in here and because I didn't even think about that point they was making, like, say the quarterback ain't doing that great, he's gonna be talking shit and he's got a loud voice, man. So it's just like, man, we ain't got time for that. Like, I ain't gonna lie, if I was looking at it, I ain't gonna be having all them distractions. I'm moving on.
So I'll say this. So if Archie Manning comes in and say the same thing a little bit, like, oh, hey, if he gets over there to the Chargers, we ain't playing. I mean, then what? I just fair off tip.
Oh, I'm getting, man, I ain't having nobody come in my locker room. Like, if you're not playing on the team, get the fuck out. Like, this is
but
on
I'm just
me.
saying, like, that's how they're comparing this whole situation. Like, okay, we're saying that Deion Sanders is gonna be doing too much, but it's like, okay, but wait a minute. When Archie Manning said that if Eli gets drafted by the Chargers, he ain't playing. No one had no problem with that. But if Deion talking about, oh, well, hey, man, look, I want to put my son in the best position. I think teams like the Steelers or this team or that team is the best position for him. Other than that, the rest of y'all ain't really what it is. Whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. Then it's like, okay, is it wrong for him to say something? I think it's just.
It's not. He earned it. He earned it. Because here's what the Deion Sanders have done that most players who, like, first of all, Deion went from, like, being a player. He won rings. He has every right to be opinionated. He worked himself into that position. And not only did he do that, he went into coaching, which a lot of players don't do.
Right.
And he took I forgot it's a historical black college university, HBSUs. Mm. And a lot of people, instead of going to state schools, went to HBSUs. He started that thing where everybody was like, yo, I'm going to go to HBSU to play sports, right? Mm-hmm. Which then NFL started looking at HBSUs to play sports. Then he left and he went in
to a worse team,
turned that around, and look at the outcome of, like, the players who went on to play NFL. And it's kind of like when we talked about, like, now I'm going to jump into NBA a little bit, like the greatest player, and we think about Michael Jordan. It's not just the stats. It's that when you say Michael Jordan name, you can see all the people that he built up as a team. When you say Deion Sanders, you can pretty much say the same thing. So if he goes ahead and do this, but he keeps on pushing out more and more people that qualify for NFL, like, you're going to look at Deion Sanders a lot different, because unlike most players whose sons have gone on to follow their father, this man got 2 sons that done it. And he also got other kids that done it as well because of him. He has every right to be opinionated. We all do, because this is America. We have opinions.
Right.
This
but
is
I
what
mean,
we do.
I just even be opinionated, but the thing is, he actually knows the game. I mean, the one biggest thing that when Deion went to college, it was the biggest fear because he was going to change the whole landscape. You're getting an actual player being a coach at a high level, coming into college and doing what he does. And people are going to be like, oh, this is going to get ugly. And the thing is, he knows what he's talking about. So I wouldn't be surprised if he sit there and said the same thing like, hey, look, he analyzed these teams and he knows what is the best fit for his son. And he would have just said it. I don't see no problem with that. But I think the problem is because this is the problem with sports media. Sports media don't really sell sports media. They sell color commentary media. And that's the thing. They don't like that. Because to be honest, that's the real problem with this overall.
Nah, fuck Deion. I'm going there. You don't deserve no goddamn opinion when you're trying to get your kid on to that next level. Because, at college, look, man, he did a great job. So he does know football and stuff like that. But, man, that you still got players in college still have a incentive to perform and lock in because you're trying to get to that next level. So it's a little different. When you get to that, man, and people are paying $50 million a year.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I don't give a fuck about your opinion. Like, man, I'm analyzing everything from your attitude to what drama might bring. Like, man, we ain't giving out chump change. Like, man, we ain't paying 6-digit salaries. Like, man, literally, they're paying life-changing money, and bringing in certain entities could drive away other free agents. Because they're going to be like, man, nah, that's just too much in the locker room. I ain't trying to go over there. So that, man, you got to look at everything holistically. And even like at my job, man, I stopped. I would rather get somebody that's quiet and has personality versus somebody that's super technical. Because sometimes like the technical people will bring a lot of like roadblocks. And, man, they overthink shit. So I think a lot of people are starting to look at it. Because like you guys said, it's like, yeah, you had Archie Manning and shit. But it's just like, people look at, certain situations, how they played out and be like, man.
I mean,
that might not have yielded.
I agree because I'll say this right.
I'm just saying, look at Bill Belichick. How many parents you seen in his locker room? And my man got how many rings? So that's what I'm saying. Fuck that.
But I won't even mention that part. But like what I was gonna say, because I'll even say to this, right? Let's talk about just the business side, right? Because I do agree with you, right? Where if we're talking about just journalism, keeping it straight in the middle. Because on business, this is what it is. You're coming here. You're gonna be doing business with a team that's going to sign you and pick you up. That's just true. And if you ain't doing what is tailored for the business meet to be fully and shake hands and sign on the dotted line, then you just screwing yourself over. But even further, it's like, think of it to this point, right? In the simple sense of Peyton Manning as a perfect example. Where is he at? State Farm. He's over here with all these, different marketing. He's marketing different places and everything. He's doing all these other things and branding. You're possibly going to be the next star that's out here going to be branding out for these sports teams, and you can be the next face on the whole State Farm or Nike's, whatever it is. You're about to be one of the many faces of the NFL. But here you are acting like this. We don't need another situation of quote unquote Antonio Brown, as most people would probably think, or any of that stuff.
Well, here's a question, right? Is it because now, since the NCAA is now paying the players money as though they're professionals already, could it be they're not hungry as much because they already have the money while they're in college?
No, because the money was only like think about it, it's 1-digit mil. Now you're coming into double digits. So, and especially when you depend on.
But even with saying that, right before that, I hate to put Miami into this or Florida. A lot of our football players were doing what, Wally? Stripping for dollars because they weren't getting paid. That scholarship money was not getting them no money. If the NCAA
we almost cost you money, school money. What are you talking about?
No, they were not making money like that. That's what I'm saying. Like
they always never made money like that.
But we can't. But if I'm looking at this new flux of collegiate athletes with the NCAA and they're getting paid money, it's not the same thing. Like the drafts used to mean so much more when they weren't getting money and they were like, oh man, I really need this money. I just buy a house. They already
I
bought.
mean, if that was the case, then
That-
everyone act like that. Then why
That's
can't
what I'm
Morton
saying.
act like that?
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
saying,
what I'm
like,
saying.
there are
Like,
differences.
so the NFL, I'm gonna put this right back around. I really believe NFL now is going to be a lot more strict. They're going to be a lot more like, demanding, because if I'm looking at it, and I'm not against it, because the NCAA, they should have paid people a long time ago and given them health insurance, because that's not fair. But like what you say, like 1 mil is nothing. I'm just like, a couple, like 10 years ago, they got nothing, right? And now they got something, but now they like acting like, well, I deserve more. I know my worth. And then, so you're now looking at this pushback from owners is like, who
I
you
mean,
talking to like that,
I
right?
get that point, but here's the reason why I said that even the money still don't change, because what you do in college is still, you're still learning a curve once you get to the pros. So it's not like you're just going to come in here and you're just going to be superstar level. Because if that was the case, Bryce Young should have been the real number one, but he wasn't. Who was the real number one? Houston Texans quarterback player. So again,
though, this back on NFL, I want to put this back on NFL then, right? When you draft and you put somebody on the team, right? It's your responsibility now. I don't believe in summer off. I grew up in the South. Well, you too, Wally. We know football is what, all year long? Back home in the South, it's all year long. You don't take breaks. SJ.
I mean, the moment you get the job, now you got to get into the job.
You gotta keep the job. So it's like there was no breaks. There was no like, we go on vacation for 6 weeks. No, it's straight up. You still work. Like you work in elementary school because they do a little Pee Wee league. You work again in middle school. You work again in high school. It was 24 hours, 7 days a week, all the time. Football, football, football. I believe NFL, when you bring in these people in, don't train them later. You have to train them as soon as you sign them, because it's like any job. Like if I sign you in and I give you a bonus, it's now my job to make sure that you stay and you understand the program of the organization and you follow through and do a lot of coaching. So we paid for you.
See, Stan, that's why.
Right? But hold on.
Go ahead.
Let me just put it into perspective, right? Because again, remember, they just got drafted. He hasn't gotten his contract yet. He's just a part of the practice team now. Now he has to actually prove himself. So again, the training part is coming in, but now he has to actually gain the contract. You just got drafted. That's the one thing. You got drafted part. So he still has to earn his keep. He's just getting drafted by a team. Which is why I say personally, I mean, granted, this is where I also would say it doesn't really matter where you got drafted. You still have to prove you are neither better than most or the best quarterback out of the draft this year. Period.
Yeah, because I do agree with what Stan's saying. I think that's where man, you have to look at stuff differently, man, because salaries are totally different from like back in the day. Even though they're coming out of college with a little bit of change, it's just like, man, they're looking at players more like an investment, because it's just like,
of course,
when you see people wilding out and the drama they bring and, the potential people you might lose and shit. It's just like, man, hold on, let me pull up this highest paid quarterbacks. And you see what you potentially might have to pay a quarterback. And if they're not, they're bringing in a little bit of drama and they're kind of being like, hey, I need this and this. You're like, oh, hell no, I ain't about to sign up for that right now. And that shit might not pan out. But look, Dak paid $60 million. Josh Allen, 55. Joe Burrow, 55. Trevor Lawrence. So it's just like, man, they're looking at it, man. Eventually, after you get out your years, I might have to pay that. And if you're telling me already up front and you ain't stepped foot on the field, like what you want and man, I'm not about to, I'm out. So I don't think people's looking at it like that. You're investing.
I mean,
when you're paying these NFL salaries, man, you talk about some 50 million. Your dad better get up out of my locker room. His opinion is irrelevant.
Most people ain't gonna think about it like that because that's business, and most people don't know business.
Yeah, but see, even in business, right? There's something you have to that's called management. You're brand new, and everybody else is brand new. I need to go ahead and train you the way I need you to be trained underneath me before I introduce you to the team. Because what I don't want to do is have the team go ahead and take you and corrupt you. That's what you're supposed to do with management. You bring people in You have to train them, build that first line of defense, and then slowly introduce people that you know that you're going to keep and people that you're going to weed out later. Because anybody else, of course, NFL, not for long. After 3 years, you already know who you're going to trade. They should not be practicing with the new people that you're raising up so you can win and have a stellar year, because already his jersey sold out for the Browns. So he already is a moneymaker and people getting the tickets. So with that being
But see,
said,
that changes so quick
management,
though with jersey sales, because it's like say he's stinking it up, and it's man winning in NFL.
but
you
understand,
know
but
what?
that's the
Right
thing,
now, he
right?
got
You
the
got to
youth.
build that team up for him, because I can't build a team around Wally when Wally has to go against like tier number 3 and 4 that been here 5 years and not knowing
Right.
that they're stable. I need to focus on Wally and his teammates that's going to make him stronger, and then I need to weed out 4 and 5 and
Because I will
6
say this,
and get
right?
them around Wally to build up, because that's the whole
Hold on,
team.
let me get M3
But
in
that's the whole
there.
thing
Go
of
ahead.
management.
Yeah, I'm going to say this quick, right? From a business standpoint, right? When you're trying to manage someone, the last thing you want to do is basically waste every single penny over a potential star athlete that that might not even serve like your purpose for the team. Like I get that, like okay, you want to train that person, whereas like the other team is not affecting them, but really, I think they look at it more like the other way around. Because here's the thing, you got to manage like so many different players. You want to make sure, okay, whenever like you bring like a new person into the team, you want to make sure that new person does not disrupt the synergy that the other team has already built for like years or for months or so. And it takes time, man, to like really build that type of synergy, especially you want to make it quick as possible so you could have an effective team. So anytime like when you're bringing someone that's new to the team, it's always going to change up like the flow of the energy. It may change up for the good, or it may change up for the bad. But like I think you were saying earlier, like Jerk, like one, like don't nobody owe him anything. You know, that's number one. But two, it's like, well, okay, if I just say like for some people, if you have a track record where you're not like really like coachable, why would I want to invest like, you know, like 30 or like 40 or $50 million on you for a year? I'll be wasting my money, even though that person might be very super talented. But now these days, like, I don't think like they care too much about the most talented player. They're looking for like the player, right, that can actually help build the synergy amongst with all the other players that's already great. Because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you can't get along, if you're like a bad player, and it start affecting like the other team, then it's like, okay, you're not going to really have like a effective team overall. So I think it's like the overall quality that people are looking for that could match with it.
Well, because now, man, it's like that player movement, man. If they unhappy, man, they'll go and be like, man, I want to be traded.
Right.
You know, like Deshaun Watson and stuff. So, man, that's what I think they're kind of looking at it. It's like if you're showing them signs up front, you're already giving me demands and shit. Like, no, I'm.
I mean, isn't that true? Like, it's crazy. I mean, one time wasn't a coach that says like, man, I need us to get ugly players back in here so at least they can play the game. I'm tired of all these pretty boys up in here. There was a coach that said like, we need ugly players back to play NBA, and I was like, wow. I think like there's a catch to ask for what you want, right? But when you're acting like this, I don't think that people want to be rewarded. Like overall, like when you look at the decline of like the return back for money, it's we getting there to where it's gonna be a lot more strict to get in, and that morality clause is gonna be in. It's gonna step in. They're gonna have to do something.
Well, I think the salaries are getting so big now where it's just like, man, it's almost like now the players got to be on their best behavior all around. So it's not like shitting on Shedeur Sanders because he put that work in. He's coachable.
No, not him.
Huh?
No,
Yeah,
not
so
him.
Yeah. So it's not it's white, but it's just like, man, if you're not like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, that type of caliber, man, they got no nonsense. And because it's just like, man, I got to pay the rest of the team. So look at Cowboys, they overpaid. All those teams that overpaid for quarterbacks, they're like stuck. So it's just like teams I think are starting to look at it different and people ain't realizing. So if you're coming in there like, man, I only want to play for this team, I'm not interviewing. They're like, man, you ain't even step foot on the field. You giving demands. Like, I don't care who your dad is, man. Like, look at the Chiefs. No, look at the teams that's winning, man. They don't, man, Chiefs, I forgot his name, the coach. Bill Belichick. So the ones that got them win, man, they no nonsense. And I think teams are like, nah, man.
You're talking about Andy Reid amongst the Chiefs.
Yeah, Andy Reid. Hey, man, they ain't playing that shit in their locker room. They ain't about to bring that type of stuff in there. So I think more teams are starting to. I'm going to look at the blueprint of winning. I ain't about to have that circus around my shit. People coming in there demanding shit. I'm like, nah, I'm good. So yeah, I think.
But if you have a girlfriend that's famous, learn from Taylor Swift. Just support your man and stay out.
Play the background. Yeah, they those certain teams ain't having it.
I should stay in the background when she's always on camera.
Well, they be focusing on her, but I mean, shit. She's
not. Yeah, she's not. She's not.
She's not causing drama, but shoot me.
She's not like Kardashian that's trying like everybody look at me. What it's true, right? Kardashian always in NBA, just like look,
first row seat,
causing drama, breaking up our marriage.
Well, because even just talk about NBA, like, man, you see what they did to not Jokic, but Luka Doncic, man, they traded him because, man, they was on the verge of, like, he would have got that max extension. They was like, man,
but that's on different terms, though.
No, I know, but I'm just saying this is how teams are starting to look at it because the salaries are getting so big. Like, when you about to pay somebody $70 million a year and you're seeing some flaws, you're not going to do it no more. You're like, man, that's going to hit.
Look who won, though. Look who won out of it all.
What's that?
But I'm saying right now, if you look at the trade and who won, Dallas didn't win that trade. They messed up.
Lakers just got knocked out, so they ain't win that shit either.
Oh no. Of course they're gonna get knocked out. That's fine because LeBron's out the door. They just need to retain Luka. That's nothing.
Man, when you see them next contracts come out, that's what I'm saying. The teams are starting to look at it a little different. They're like, I'm not giving that max out unless that person's fully in.
Most people have issues with is just his weight condition. That's the main thing.
He can't play no defense. He got exposed.
That's going to be on the contract. You got to keep up a good weight.
Yeah.
You got to keep up your diet.
Oh no, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like the league is already holding that down because, of course, you can see in the NBA they're being strict because certain players just can't maintain. But you want this amount of money, but you're not playing at the caliber that you should be. So yeah,
no more all-stars. No more all-stars. That's going to be on the contract. Are you performing? You don't need to attend.
But think about it. Like the NBA, you only got to pay like 15 people. You looking at NFL, how many they got to pay? Because they got the practice squad. They got.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I'm saying you got to be a little more strict at like who you bringing on that team because you got it's 50 2 3 on the field
53.
Yeah, so man, when you
team on offense, then this defense, then it's special teams.
Yeah, and then it's like, man, I got to give that type of salary, but I might need like all these like pieces to shield you because you might not be like I said, you're not the greatest, you're not the Patrick Mahomes type that could just make anything happen. So it's like, hell no, I ain't about to.
It's not yet.
You're not the smart.
But like you said, hopefully I want to see him excel. So I hope he does. I just hope I think in the future, parents it's like, man, look, we got our opportunity, man. We're going to go in there and man, we're going to perform. I'm not going to do anything that might hinder your opportunity. Yeah, I'm boisterous.
Though I disagree. Huh? I disagree on that. I disagree on that because like parents have every right to say something, to stand there and to protect their children, let them know what's going on and what's.
But I'm saying, how's it protecting you if you're sitting there? You're like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And
because think about it, because you got to again. Let's go back to it. Deion, before like even a father, he's still a coach of the game of football. He can analyze a team and be like, that's not the best. That's not the best team for my son, and this is why he's saying, hey. My son ain't going there. He ain't going there. Look, this is the best thing for my son. This is where we need to go. That's what he's going to do.
But you think he should have kept that to himself?
I mean, granted, yes, because let's be honest, when you put that out there, you are sort of putting like a target on the back, and people don't need that added drama. Because, like, let's be honest, one of the teams, if he said the Steelers were one of the teams, let's be honest, Steelers already have enough drama. It's always that, oh, someone called this play, someone just said this. It's like they don't know what's going on there. Steelers already got enough drama. So adding Shedeur, that just makes it even worse. Someone's gonna be thrown out the door. Someone's gonna get their foot stumped. That's already there. And plus, Steelers management, they ain't playing no shits. They will trade your ass if they have to. Really.
Because I get what y'all saying as far as the parenting, but man, y'all gotta, man, this is where I think people gotta pause, man. Like, say you put up billions of dollars for this team. You think you about to let somebody come in there and dictate what the hell you doing?
Oh,
man,
no,
you know how big that number is?
Oh, no,
that's what I'm saying. Like, your ego is just as big as Deion's. That's what I'm saying. You coming in my shit.
Yeah, I'm not saying the parents are going to dictate the lead. I'm just saying, hey, look, he's going to have his opinion, but that's it. It's his opinion. At the end of the day, it's like you still have to be the ones to do what he has to do. He can't really just incorporate himself in. At best, he's going to be right there in the stands like everybody else. You ain't going to be on the sidelines. You ain't going to have that privilege. You're going to be on the stands with everybody else. You're going to be there, wave your hand, all that other shit. He's not. I'll
be like, listen, I paid $2 billion for this team. Unless you're gonna give me 3, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm paying this coach over here. I'm paying this offensive coach. I'm paying this other person. Like, you ain't on the staff. So that's why I'm like I get what y'all saying. Like, yeah, bring your parent and man, you better look at them NFL contracts and see how much that owner paid for that team, and y'all better start putting that in perspective. Ain't nobody having that when you talk about them big numbers like that.
Could it be, before you press play, that now the responsibility is on colleges and NCAA to push like the expectation of going professional? No. Like, you need to have a class to understand contract. You need to understand what's ahead of you when you get there, understand structure.
I mean, a coach should. I think they should be like, look, man, when you get that opportunity, it's like, man, everybody has a preference. But, that'd be like, just put it like this, man. That'd be like me going to, man, I really want to get a job in a Fortune 500 company. And I go to like Microsoft and I'm pulling up in there and I'm like trying to get a job with them. But I'm like, hey, man, y'all better put me in like engineering on this and this. They could be like, man, you want a job with us. So that's how I think the NFL looked at it. Like, man, we ain't about to play into your demands. You want to be in our league. We own this motherfucker.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You're not gonna go into like interview, be like, hey man, like kick your feet up, like, look, y'all better put me. No, man, like the motherfucker's gonna look at you like.
Or he could do it the immigration way.
What's that?
Find out which one of the owners have a daughter. And like, hey, you want to have an anchor baby?
This man said, do it like Triple
Hey, yeah, that might work though. I think he's a good talent, man. I just think, man, I just think teams are like, because they might be fearful of Deion taking a job too. So that could be a case, but
no, because the owner's got to give them the job. So again, it's like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
This is dumb.
No, Deion is going to be happy being a college coach because he's pushing out winners. Like, he's doing good.
No, he's definitely doing good. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's definitely got some insight. I just think, man, parents got to fall back a little bit. It's like, man, you got to. Okay. Man, like if my son was going to the NFL, I'm like, dude, whatever team drafts you the highest, that's where you need to go and you need to represent. You need to make sure you training and that's it. Go be a man.
I used to see your son on Extra or TND. Dating Young Miami. What you gonna do then?
I'm gonna choke his ass out then. Yeah.
I know you're gonna get up and move over there. I already know, like, get her out of here.
Oh yeah, no,
what
definitely.
You doing messing up this money?
No, because Deion definitely did a great job getting them, like, coaching. So like I said, they ain't taking nothing away. But I think, man, that biggest stage, because it's like Deion been there. It's just like, all right, man, I gotta fall back and let you. You can't just dictate stuff in no league like that. They just ain't having it, man. They put up billions to get there. Like, man, like unless y'all putting up billions, like everybody that's like, oh, well, this happened and this. I'm like, man, write that number on a piece of paper and then look at that shit for like two minutes. And you go in there and try to bark at somebody that put that much bread up. Like, man, shit. But let me go ahead and play this.
Never be able to understand that Jackson Dart went ahead of Shedeur Sanders in this draft.
Shedeur Sanders comes in with a whole lot of charisma, pizzazz, and NFL teams want a boring quarterback. They also, NFL teams, thrive on control. Front offices do not want players to have any sort of control. Front offices and coaching staffs in the NFL want players who are going to go out there and do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do
Facts.
it. Shedeur Sanders from jump has been very boisterous. His father, Deion Sanders, very boisterous about, hey, this is what we will do. This is what we will not do. This is what he is. And that rubs NFL GMs and coaches and front offices the wrong way.
Was the quarterback depth in this year's draft elite? You could argue no, but this felt exceptionally personal with Shedeur Sanders, and it will never sit right with me on the anonymous sourcing that started to leak over the last few weeks. It felt so targeted. I genuinely hope I will be rooting for Shedeur to go in and be that guy who everybody has to look back on and say, why the hell did nobody take a flyer on Shedeur Sanders in the first round? I will never be able.
No, I do hope he excels, man. So ain't that.
He will. He will. He will. He will excel because he's going to show up, show off, and that's it. I'm just going to. What they said was something that we all talked about before, which is like they don't want personality, unlike the NBA. But NBA is finding out themselves they also don't want personality.
Yeah.
Because you only show. If we paying you for 150 games, you only showing up for 32. Like that's crazy work. That's amazing that you getting paid all this money, but you only showing up for 32 games.
Look at this shit. Dallas Cowboys value $10 billion, operating income $564 million. Y'all think I'm gonna sit there and listen to some opinions, and I'm putting up this type of bread and shit?
That's what I'm saying. Like I think they do have to have a take because the ignorance of people who play the sports and not knowing what's ahead of them is not fair for them. They need to know where they stand.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I'll be hearing. I was listening to a lot of conversations. I get it, man. Like, but I'm like, man, when you look at these are corporations, man. The money, like, man, people they're learning from the past, so you can't use the past as like well, this happened. Yeah, they probably looked at that. It was like, man, that shit ain't produced what we needed to. And look at the teams that's winning. They have a no nonsense. Ain't nobody coming in there, and I'm emulating that because I'm trying to make money. Like I'm not sitting here trying to make friends in the locker room with old ass players and shit.
What people want is like at least make it to the playoffs. Can we make it to the playoff? Can we have a tease to the playoff? Can we have a promised land to the playoff? Like you still the whole thing of having a loyal fan base, having people coming in, buying seasonal tickets. This is what economics come in. I know they don't teach this in class anymore. I wanted to teach this on YouTube, but we need to to understand economics and how important that a home team have on a community, have on a state. Like it brings in money, and when you don't support your teams and the team don't support the community, it's a fall off, and then everybody lose.
Damn, even the number 32 Cincinnati Bengals, like 4.1 billion, 76 million operating costs. Like, yeah,
and even then, like, like you just gotta make sure that you're good enough and you're part of the community and you build the team up and give us a chance at playoff. Like, if it's like even if we get to like week number 8, it's still good. We'll try it again next year. But I will say this to NFL. Stop trading in coaches because a lot of times those coaches do need to stay to build up a team. A new coach every year, anybody in management would tell you, you're not building up your team right.
Oh, no, let's be real. They cheated most of those coaches. They cheated. So they're not even bringing their own. They're not bringing their own people in. They're not bringing no system around them. They're just tagging them in and be like, "This is who you got to work with," and then they flunk them right then there.
Yeah, but I think that's why they're like, I think they're starting to make that change. Like, all right, man, we need to bring in not only just because all of them are talented, because even in the NBA, you see it where I think in NBA and NFL, man, like there's no big discrepancy on the top players that like there used to be. because you used to see like the top people that got drafted. It was like a clear, I say, gap between the top and the bottom. So I think now, like even if you see majority of the quarterbacks that have been kind of winning, they've been going later. Like Jalen Hurts, where you go like second round and shit, So I just think everybody's not jumping the gun unless it's like a clear standout. You're just like, man,
but with Jalen Hurts,
first, second, and third is like damn near the same. What was that?
No, but I believe like Jalen Hurts, him being second round was actually a good calling because, again, comparable to most of the other quarterbacks, he's not that really good as a thrower. He's average.
Yeah. No, but it's just so tricky. So it's just like, man, people now are looking at it like, man, look, we could draft this person high, but if it come with something, and it might not even, it's not even to say like they're going to be dramatic, but just even the thought of it when people are putting like,
don't bring Kardashian.
Yeah, people just ain't having it. They're like, nah, I'm good.
Just don't date them.
Don't date them. Don't bring nobody from the housewives and Lord knows who and Lord knows what. Any basketball wives, don't do it. Don't ruin your dreams. Just don't.
Yeah, especially like you were saying, Stan, with that short window in the NFL, man, you come in, shut up, get your playbook, man, play your years that you're blessed to play, and then do your fuckery afterwards.
That one young dude that was drafted by the Jets that retired because he had an injury, he never was able to play. He tried to recover, he couldn't do it. He had hung it up. I was like, damn.
Well, what was his name that used to the quarterback for the Colts, man? He was actually pretty good, man. I forgot his name.
The corner?
Luck.
Oh, Angela. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you see how he just like ended his shit. That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah,
like
Andrew was a different condition. The Colts wasn't putting him in no O-line. That's the problem. They was not putting no O-line around him. But at the same time, too, he also had life problems. He also had like family issues too. So it's like a lot of it was just contemplating in his head, and it was like, yeah, I'm defeated right now. Like, fuck it.
No, man.
He is coaching though. He is coaching now too.
Drink milk. Have that one family member to block all the families off. Have no girlfriend. Work out. Drink a lot of milk. Get that calcium in.
Some shit.
Do some Pilates, ballet, whatever you need to do. Lift weights. Focus on I think 9 months. Focus on the 9 months. Where are you playing? 9 months. Focus on that. That is your job. You're in the NFL. You do not have time for nobody. That one cousin is your point person. They handle all the family stuff. And y'all don't need no money. If y'all need money, I'm going to tell y'all this like my father said. Go to your local welfare office and apply for GA.
But all right, man, let's go ahead and close this one out. I definitely wanted to cover this topic. This is a good one. This is a good one. But hey, in all seriousness though, like man, when you do, I do miss your solo ones because you go right in there, you go hard in paint. You're like, ah! This would be a good one to talk about to the fathers. Like, hey, you gotta let your kids go. It's hard because especially for like Deion, man, where he did excel coaches, but it's just like, man, like sometimes you got to know the business dynamics, like you were saying, Stan. I think that's what people miss. It's like, man, that's an industry, man. You got to step back because you don't want to put that. So, like I said, I think his son is still going to shine because he's very talented. Yeah. But it's just like, man, you don't want to, kick up anything because when you're already a big name, man, there's already going to be some stuff coming. So it's just like, man, I think you got to step back and like let your kids shine and have their moment and stuff. And maybe like behind the scenes, if they're coming and asking you questions about, then you could give them that knowledge and stuff. But it's like, man, it needs to be a transition. It's like, a pass off where it's like, hey, man, I'm not going to be there for everything. Life just ain't always going to allow that. Because even with like LeBron, if you see Bronny, I was telling, one of my friends, because he's a big LeBron fan, he was like, no, man, that's good. LeBron's getting on the team. I'm like, nah, man, it's not. It's going to actually hurt probably his development because it's just like, man, it's going to put the bullseye on his back too early. And then, when they probably need to make those mistakes, now people are like, going to kind of crush their spirit because it's like, man, the light's just on them already. So it's like sometimes you need to let them go to another team and they could, fly behind the radar a little bit, and they could grow, and then maybe down the line y'all could link up. But it's like let them go through that like growth process. Don't put the light on them too early and shit. But now, hopefully, Shedeur, he ignores this, man. Goes in there, blows everybody out the frame. So still rooting for him, but yeah, I just
we gotta give a shout out to like the newscasters or people that's gonna be following his career. He's young. Leave him alone. Stop looking for bad news. We're tired. He's gonna make mistakes. We don't need your report on every day.
Commentary.
Say again.
That's the thing with color commentary.
Wait, what do you call it again?
Color commentary. That's what they call them. That's what they call them. That's what they call them. That's the term. That's what they call them. And that's what they are, because they're not sports
color
commentary. Yes, color commentary. Yes.
Go look it up. Wow.
Go look it up. But you know what? That's what it's called. But I mean, they kind of need it, man. That's why them salaries going up, because the commentators like.
But that's my thing. But I mean, don't get me wrong. It is what it is. Talk and speak as you please. But the thing is, I hate about it is your work is about journalism. And y'all pricks are just opinionated journalism. Y'all not even straightforward on fact journalisms. Like, bye. Get out of here.
They're not journalists. They're just opinionated.
That's my whole point. That's why I call them color commentaries.
I'm on that opinion shit. You ain't getting no facts from me. You ain't getting no facts from me.
What are you talking about? Stop being a hypocrite.
Y'all want facts? Y'all better Google that shit. I'm out here telling lies. I'm lying to motherfuckers.
Exactly. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about right here. This is what I'm
straight opinion. I told y'all before. I ain't sell out. I sold out.
Name like that, Wally. We're from the South.
I sold out.
I can't even say that.
You mean you bought it in there? You bought it.
I'm surprised.
Deion Sanders.
Happened. Like
I had to listen for a whole week. All y'all news. Well, Deion, that's messed up. That they. Y'all better look at that net value.
You're gonna hear me say the same. Well, not really. I'm like I said,
I wouldn't even let him come in the building. Deion.
Oh god.
Deion, you see whose name is on their owner? Motherfucker, you better. No, I'm playing.